And today we're celebrating the fact that best-selling author Angie Thomas and Belhaven University surprised an unexpected high school senior with a full-ride scholarship for creative writing. And we have joining us in the studio the recipient of that, Miss Ahniya Myers. She won the 2023 Angie Thomas Writers Scholarship. And we've got Professor and Chair of Creative Writing at the University of Belhaven, Dr. Randall Smith, who I'm sure was there to say, surprise! Did it go like that? I hope it went like that.
Well, it did. Yeah, there was a whole crowd of us there, family, friends, Belhaven folks, and it was wonderful to get to surprise Ahniya with that.
They should have asked me to do it, Ahniya, because I would have totally come out with sparkles, sprinkles, and everything else. But I'm sure what I've seen, they did it just right. Okay, so how did you learn about the Angie Thomas Writers Scholarship?
Well, I first learned about it because it was sent in an email from Belhaven. It was like, if you can apply for this if you wanted to. So that's why I first learned about it.
And you obviously applied for it. And I guess, Dr. Smith, I'm just assuming that everybody knows who Angie Thomas is. I feel like a large majority of listening do, but there may be some who are like, I know that name, but how do I know it? So what? Tell us who she is.
So Angie Thomas is a fabulous writer from Mississippi. She just finished a book tour for her fourth novel. All four of her novels had debuted at #1 on the New York Times bestseller list.
Not too shabby.
That's right. In fact, her first novel was knocked off #1 on the New York Times bestseller list by her second novel.
Oh, well, if you're going to lose to somebody, it might as well be yourself.
Yeah. And Angie graduated from Belhaven with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Creative Writing in 2011. And actually, some of her short stories from her senior project at Belhaven were the stories that grew into The Hate You Give and Concrete Rose. So she's been developing those characters for a long time. It's been a great thing just to get to watch Angie grow as a student and then as a published and awarded writer.
And she's also never forgot where she came from, too. She has been very indebted to Belhaven. She comes back to Mississippi often for the book festival and obviously set up this opportunity for students like Ahniya and others. So, Ahniya, you're number 4. So there's been 3 others that's gotten the scholarship. When Angie Thomas came to Belhaven or did Belhaven come to, how did this scholarship come about?
So our president, Dr. Roger Parrott, and Angie talked, and they were talking about ways to encourage writers to apply to the program, particularly writers who come from Mississippi, writers who come from outside of Mississippi, but from neighborhoods and areas like where Angie grew up in Mississippi, just to give those writers a chance to come to Belhaven and grow and have the scholarship money to do that.
So, Ahniya, you saw it through an email that it was an opportunity to apply for it. Does this go out to all students?
Oh, yeah. It's any student around the country, even around the world, can apply.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Look at you, girl. Okay, so next, what was the application process like? I'm sure you had to write something. So what did you choose? I'm just going to guess that maybe it probably wasn't math questions, but what did you choose to write, or what was the, stipulations for applying for the scholarship?
Well, what's it called? It asks for 12 pages of work that we've already written or that you want to choose to write. And so most of the work was work that I had already written over the years. Most of it was schoolwork that I wrote in. My main pieces were a short story that I actually written for my mother for Mother's Day. And another one was my memoir that I wrote for English composition for my dual enrollment class at Holmes.
I was going to say, you're so young to have a memoir, but I guess, you can have a memoir at any stage of life. And so did you just submit it and think, yeah, I'll just throw it out there and see what happens?
I did. I was like, well, might as well take a chance.
Take a chance. So what's the vetting process, Dr. Smith? If you've got students from all over the country or even internationally that could potentially get the Angie Thomas Creative Writing Scholarship, how do you guys, who is deciding, who gets it?
So we get the portfolios in at Belhaven, and then in the creative writing department, we go through all the applicants for a year and then try to narrow it down to a group of, say, 3 to 5 students. And we forward those portfolios on to Angie. Angie then reads those, and Angie makes the final decision.
That's impressive.
So far, we've agreed on every winner.
Would you tell us if you didn't? Maybe not.
Maybe not.
So next year, if you come back and you're like, just leave that out, we'll go, oh. No, I'm totally. So what does it feel like? Did you even know, did Ahniya know that she was getting down, or do y'all just wait to surprise the winner?
We wait to surprise the winner. They don't know where they are in the process.
So you just sent it off into the atmosphere and just sat back and went on about your business there at Canton, wrapping up things in your senior year. And
yes,
then,
ma'am.
All right, so explain, what was the moment that you got surprised? Set the scene for us. Ahniya, where was it?
Okay. So first, the day of the surprise, my mom told me that we were going to be leaving school early because it was my grandmother's death anniversary. So we was going to celebrate. And so I started to walk downstairs to leave, and my principal stopped me on the stairs. She was like, "Where are you going?" And I said, "Oh, I'm leaving early today." She was like, "Oh, well, Mom, your mother's going to come upstairs and get you from class." And I was like, okay. So I went back to class, and my teacher told me that there were going to be guests in the classroom today. So we were going to have another class join us, like, in our work process, and some guests were going to come. That was, like, hint number 2. And then...
So you were starting to put these pieces semi together? Yeah.
Yes. And
Which
then,
means Mom knew about it.
yes, the whole time. Like, she knew about it a good long time, too.
That's what
Very
moms
long
do, though.
time.
They can keep their mouth shut when needed.
Yes. And then my principal came upstairs. She kind of just stood in the classroom. And then that's when everybody else started to come, like the cameras and the Belhaven staff. And I still didn't get that it was the Angie Thomas Scholarship. I was just thinking it was the Dean Scholarship that I earned before. I was like, oh, this how they celebrate this? I was like, okay. And I didn't get that it was the Angie Scholarship until they played it on our Promethean board, and that's when it all came together.
What was it like when you finally realized, like, this is it, like, I got it, like, especially since you didn't even know? I figured y'all would send out a, hey, you're in the top whatever, you've made it to the semifinals, you're in the finals, make sure you put on lipsticks and a good bra for the next 5 Fridays, something like. I mean, you did have no warning. So what was it like, literally knowing that you won?
It was a very big surprise. It just didn't seem real.
Had you looked at Belhaven as a potential place to go regardless of the scholarship?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. And so now you get the opportunity. And it is a full ride, right, Dr. Smith? So how does the scholarship work?
It is. It's a full ride for all 4 years, which includes tuition, fees, books, housing, meals. I mean, it's every single part of college.
So you just have to go and sort of enjoy college and focus sort of on your creative writing and, enjoy this next phase of life.
Yes.
So when it comes to creative writing, I don't know if you've got niches. I guess there are short stories, novels, all the different things. What would you say your niche is, Ahniya?
Short stories. I really like fiction and writing about fiction. I guess that would be my main niche.
What's sort of the niche there for the creative writing program there at Belhaven?
So we offer workshops in poetry, fiction, creative nonfiction, writing for children and young adults, speculative fiction, which is fantasy fiction, magical realism. We give students opportunities to write in all kinds of different areas, script writing through our film department and theater departments. So they have plenty of opportunities to explore every area. And sometimes students come in thinking they're one genre, and then by the time they finish or along the way, they realize that they really enjoy another one, and they might switch over.
In 4 years, where do you see yourself, Ahniya? Obviously graduating Belhaven with a degree in creative writing, but what's the next step for you, or what do you hope the next step is?
Of course, to be getting started in my career, probably with some internships and, starting on a story, hopefully. I've also thought about journalism as a career, so to get started in that as well.
And I guess that would be also fall into the realm of creative writing as well, wouldn't it, Dr. Smith?
Yeah, a third of our curriculum for the BFA program is in applied courses where they pick up applied skills. So, and I could pursue that through communications, business, teaching.
Well, you know what? Pause there. We've got more with Dr. Smith and Ahniya. to podcast. We're continuing our conversation with Ahniya Myers. She just won the 2023 Angie Thomas Writers Scholarship for the university, or Belhaven University. I always get it backwards, Dr. Smith. You didn't correct me, so I appreciate that. But it's Belhaven University. She's the fourth one to get that award or that honor. And also with us is the chair of creative writing for Belhaven University, Dr. Randall Smith. And so we were just talking the fact that you've been working there for 140 years since Belhaven has been around, and you guys have turned out significant talent in the writing. Has Belhaven always had a niche in, I guess, creative writing or the arts in that way? Have they sort of honed in on crafting their program there?
Yes. So Belhaven is one of those handful of schools in the whole country that has offerings in all of the arts: dance, theater, music, visual art, creative writing. We now have degrees in film, and we've been strong in the arts forever. I wish I could claim credit for some things. I did start the creative writing program 20 years ago. We just completed our 20th year, so we've been around a good long time now. But all the way back to 1942, Elizabeth Spencer, one of the great writers of fiction, contemporary fiction, graduated from Belhaven. She was a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize in 1957 for her novel, The Voice at the Back Door. And then Harrison Scott Key, a memoir writer, graduated from Belhaven in 1997, and he won the Thurber Award for American Humor and has 3 memoirs out. Yeah, so we've got a good, long history now. And then, of course, Angie Thomas with her books.
You were talking about, too, though, in terms of journalism. So I think sometimes when you hear creative writing, you don't necessarily lump in journalism. And you said that might even be on your list of interest once you get into the program. How does creative writing play into journalism?
So when we designed the curriculum, it's 60 hours within the major for the BFA. And the curriculum is divided into thirds. A third would be creative writing workshops. Then a third would be literature courses. But a whole other third of the curriculum are courses where students pick up applied skills. And that can be in business, graphic design, communications, journalism, filmmaking, a number of different things. And that's because, we want our students to write and to learn to write well, but we also want them to figure out how they're going to use that gift of writing for good in the world. And, some of us might go on to be award-winning novelists, but many of us are going to use our writing ability in other ways and other places that give us great satisfaction. And we want to help every student find that place to use their writing ability.
Ahniya, when did you develop your, interest in creative writing, or a knack for it, knowing that, hey, I may be better at this than others?
Yes, it will be, I would say, 7th grade, around 7th grade. We had an assignment. It was an essay. I can't remember what it was about right now. But my teacher, she complimented me on my writing. And she said it was really good. She was asking me, who taught me how to write. And I didn't know the answer to that question, of course. And she was like, you should really consider writing. And just over the years, I realized how much I like it and how I can pursue this as a career.
I think it's kind of like with any arts, right, Dr. Smith, is sometimes you just have a knack for it, right? You don't know how you're good at it. You just hear things, or in terms of music or being able to sing. And I feel like creative writing specifically, I think you can be taught to academically write if necessary because it's very, standardized. But creative writing, there's a flow to it that I think if you're just sort of, some are born with it. I'm sure you can be taught how to make it better, but there's just a little bit of just natural talent. Is that fair?
There is. Oh, definitely. We have a course called Mission and Calling for Writers, and we do a lot of personality assessments. We do the Enneagram, MBTI, do all the
3 wing 1.
Yeah, that's right. We do all the exercises in What Color's Your Parachute by Richard Bowles, a great book on career planning and mission. But one of the things that Richard Bowles says is, find that thing that you love to do in life that you would do if nobody paid you to do it, and then find somebody to pay you to do it. And if I look at writers, usually when they go back and tell their story, they talk about how when they first saw something that they loved, a poem, a story, or whatever it was, and they wanted to try to do it themselves. So this passion for writing usually goes back to childhood for most writers.
So in the 7th and 8th grade, Ahniya, who were you reading, or what were you reading?
Mainly fantasy fiction stories. I really love fantasy fiction. I guess.
So are you an avid reader?
Yes.
So I think
love
those two go hand in hand, right? Usually you have avid readers who turn into or have creative writing, and creative writing then breeds into avid sort of readers. They kind of feed the two sort of feed each other, which I think is really interesting. Why parents should really hone in if you've got someone who is really interested in reading early or finds a knack for books, push it because that's developing their ability to sort of write sentences or language or just being able to express things or explain things, describe things in their written form, which can take them very far in a lot of different career paths, not just necessarily if you wanted to be a writer. I want to go back though to the day you recognized or knew that you were getting the scholarship to Belhaven University, the Angie Thomas. She wasn't there in person, but you did still get to virtually meet her.
Yes.
What was that like? She's the one who told you.
Yes. So once everybody came in, my principal made an announcement. She said, we have a video to show you all. And so they set up the video. At first, you could kind of hear someone talking, and they had said my name, but, it kind of sounded like Angie, but, didn't want to get my hopes up right then. And then it actually popped up on screen. It was her, and she told me, she was like, congratulations, you won the scholarship. And it was just like, it was so surreal.
It was a good day.
Yes.
As your mom said, it was a really good day.
It was a really good day.
It was a really good day. Well, I think it's a good day, too, when parents can hear, Dr. Smith, that there is opportunities for their kids to actually make a living writing. Because I feel like part of that, especially if they are at home doodling poetry or they think about being a songwriter or they, fantasize about, writing movie scripts, it's like lean into that. They may not wind up there, but you can make a career off your writing skills.
Yeah. I mean, just think about that. I mean, we can all think about the number of different places that we've worked in our lives professionally and try to think then about the people there who are actually good writers. Usually there are only a few. Like there's a go-to person if somebody needs to write a grant or somebody needs to write some communication that's really tricky to write. So there's a place for writers in the world, people who can bring ideas together, summarize them, put them in a really good, logical, clear, concise format. And that we help writers learn to do that, and they find a place where they can use that ability.
Are there any programs at Belhaven for wiser in years writers who aren't looking for a degree, but maybe to just,
Yeah, absolutely. I have non-traditional age students
that's a great way to say it. Non-traditional age students.
Every year take creative writing courses. Some of them just come back to take one course.
And I think, that's another thing. If brush off the novel, it doesn't have to be award-winning. There's something beautiful about completing a story that you started, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, that I think we put too much pressure on. It has to be successful for it to be worth our time.
Yes.
And success can be defined just by as you putting it out in the world or completing something that you had sort of started. You had to put all your work together, Ahniya. What's the thing that you put in your packet that I guess maybe you're most proud of that you will continue to grow on as you move into Belhaven?
It would be the short story that I wrote for my mother. I only wrote like a chapter, and I wrote it when I was in 10th grade. Yes, 10th grade. And I thought about continuing it, and I wasn't sure how to continue it, I guess. And I hope with my time at Belhaven, I will be able to finish it.
Oh, I'm sure Dr. Smith will be able to, or him and his team of people will be able to help you out with that. And if people are looking to maybe apply for this next year, Dr. Smith, I know we're going to keep it going.
Yes.
So I know it hasn't even started in the fall. We're not kicking you out. But how does that sort of process? When should they, bookmark to sort of look for it, or when does the email go out?
So they can go ahead and look now. If they're interested in creative writing, they can look up Belhaven University on the web and the creative writing department, and there are links there and directions for how to apply for the Angie Thomas Writers Scholarship and then how to apply for the creative writing program. It's all portfolio based. They send in samples of their work, and we just want to see what students are proud of. Send us the things that you enjoyed writing and that you're really interested in writing. but go ahead and look now and get the portfolio in as soon as possible.
Can you teach anybody to write?
I can. I can help anybody become a better writer.
At least you own that better than they always tell me that they can teach anybody to sing, and I'm just like, that's lies. You teach someone to sing better, maybe. But
Yeah, I can teach no one to sing.
there is a department for that at Belhaven, I'm sure. Thank you for your time, and congratulations.
Thank
we
you.
look forward to seeing what you publish in the upcoming future. But you guys stick with us. We got